getting good results from Claude Code. Well, these AIs, they'll write our code for us, right? And so what we can do is interact with these AIs to give us application adjustments or build entire applications from scratch. That's right. They'll build code for us now. You don't have to be a coder so much. There are some improvements that you can make when you're writing your prompts to Claude. This gives you better results. And I can tell you, I'm just going to jump straight into it. What my favorite approach is to be very specific and intentional about the change or the prompt that I'm giving it. So I'll say, I need you to go in to edit this file, and I need you to change this part of the file so that way it does this. And you've described the feature that you're trying to upgrade. And typically, that gives me the best results. And I don't have to jump around or unwind or roll back. It will just do it, and that's great. There are other tips, though, that we can get more information on. And that's what we're going to read through here with Chris's article. We're going to read through Chris's article on getting good results from Claude Code. So Chris has been experimenting with LLM programming agents over the past few months. Claude Code has become the favorite. I can say the same, although the new GPT-5 came out. The GPT-5, it looks like it's better. I haven't played much with it. I have used it for coding, and it's fine, and I enjoyed it, and it was really good. I like Claude Code. It's just so seamless. It's really nice. So it's not without issues, but it's allowed me to write 12 programs and projects in relatively little time with Claude Code and AI generation code. That's awesome. That's quite a lot. 12 is already a lot. So Chris, I believe, right? Was it Chris? Yeah, Chris says that he's written 12 programs. So it's really easy to write a lot of software really quickly with these AI models. And it in relatively little time. And Chris feels like he would not have been able to do this in the same amount of time without using Claude Code or without using an AI code generator. It's code generation using AI. Most of these applications, Chris would not have ever bothered writing without Claude Code because simply they would take him too much of time. Yeah, so a lot of code these days is now going to be written because the AI does it so much faster. And the amount of effort to get something out the door and working has become so much easier. A list is included at the end of the post. Oh, let's jump to the end really quick. Where's the end? Let's see let's see where the end is. All right, we're jumping to the end. I want to see what it is. Oh, okay, so these are GitHub code projects. All right. So let's see. HTML and XML aware reverse proxy. Very nice. Solarized variant. Oh, so this is code syntax highlighting. Light and dark modes supported for VS Code. Solarized is a very nice syntax code highlighting. I love it. It's a good one. RSS feed of a Flickr photo stream of you or your friends. Okay, so a personalized RSS feed for photo streams. Quickly find and edit untitled photos in your Lychee photo library. That's a good one. MQTT. Report Mac OS screen lock status to an MQTT broker. Oh, that's kind of neat. Okay. I don't know why you would want to report your screen lock status. Maybe so you can tell that the workstation is active or inactive, right? So you would have software installed on a box or on maybe some employee's laptop, and you can tell if they're active or not, right? If their screen was locked or if they're actually doing work. And what else do we got? What else? So all these were written by AI. So all these GitHub repos. So we've got a title for bird buddy photos in your Lychee photo library. Okay. So you can find names of birds. Use local LLMs to organize your unsorted photos. That's a really good idea. We were just talking about tool calling, and you can use a local LLM to sort through your photos and tag your photos and do a whole bunch of things. It's really cool. I like that idea. That's pretty smart. All right, so we just checked out a list of the included posts, a list at the end, which is kind of neat. And so what are we doing? So Chris says that I'm still far from Claude Code expert. It is a challenge. There is a lot to learn still, and I have a backlog of blog posts and documentation to review that might be useful. But, and this is crucial, You don't have to read everything that's out there to start seeing results. It is true. Probably the best thing you can do right now is just jump right in. Jump straight into Claude Code and just try it out. Maybe read a little bit, but you don't have to go crazy. You don't even need to read this post that we're reading right now. Just type some prompts and see what comes out. Yeah, that's the idea. That's probably the best thing to do, because you'll start learning the edges because you can have a very broad stroke with the paintbrush on the code generator, and it can be too broad, and you won't get what you're looking for. And then if you start, getting a little more fine-tuned on it, you'll start getting a lot more what you're looking for. But you don't want to have to type too much, because the whole point of this tool, these code generators, is to give you a productivity boost and to help you out a lot throughout your day. So if you're overworking the prompt too much and you're creating these beautiful, super fine-tuned prompts, then you're not really saving time, right? You're not saving too much from that perspective. So the best thing to do is just try it out and find out where the barriers are. I think that said, because I wrote up this for a job application, here's how I'm getting good results from Claude Code. I've added links to some examples where appropriate. All right, a key writing aspect when you're writing Claude Code and you want to get a really good output for Claude Code is clear specs. So this is like spec-driven development, essentially. So you want to specify your exact desires on the output, which provides the context of the agents as it works in the code base. Oh, we've got an example here. Let's check out what the example is really quick. Here we go. Here's one of the specs. Look at this spec. Okay. Yeah, okay. This is overkill. One of the recommendations for getting good results from Claude Code is writing a spec. This is too much, in my opinion. I mean, this is a little heavy. Look at this. I guess you can copy and paste it because he's open sourced this spec for us, and there's a lot of specs out there. I mean, this is too much. These models, they're kind of good, but they're not good enough to maintain this level of context, because certain things will get lost. They'll lose some things. The attention's difficult to keep, and having too much context, the model is not going to be able to keep up. This spec is a little intense, for my opinion. Is there a different example here? Do we have a different one that's a little bit smaller? Nope, just as big. Okay. Well, this is neat. So you include the schema. It's good to include this in your application. You might not necessarily need to put it into a spec, but having the schema right there is actually pretty powerful. Having document for the agent that outlines the project structure. Yeah, okay, so this is important because every time you run Claude Code or any other AI model that's going to be a code generator for you, it needs to review the code project. But if you have a nice outline, that it only needs to review a little bit and it doesn't have to go reading through all your files, which is expensive and slow. And it might not get everything right. So this is actually okay. So this tells you the code project. And you don't have to write this. You don't have to write this spec yourself. You can have the AI do it for you. You can just say, hey, Claude, can you write this spec, a spec file for me based on this project repository? And then it will one time write that spec for you. So I would say this is a good recommendation, a very good recommendation. Ask the agent to perform code review on its own work is surprisingly fruitful. So that's actually kind of neat. So once the AI wrote the code and it's done, you can go back and say, hey, can you do a code review of this code? It doesn't necessarily know, especially if you start a new session, that the code was generated by itself. It can go back and it can make modifications. Things like, let's reduce the code, but maintain the same level of functionality. And finally, have a personal global agent guide describing the best practices for agents to follow, specifying things like problem-solving approaches and the use of test-driven development, TDD. That's important because one of the things that often don't come with a lot of these projects that are built with AIs are tests. And you want to make sure that, because tests help maintain and tamp down tech debt of your application in your project. You want to make sure that tests are also generated. And by specifying TDD, the model will generate tests for you as well. And it also changes the architecture of the application because you can't always write unit tests for certain scenarios unless you write the code a certain way. And so that's meaningful. I think this is a really good tip here. If there's any other takeaway that you have is asking the AI to also use TDD. I think that's really good. A really good idea. Then there's the question of validating the LLM's written code. AI generated code is often incorrect and inefficient. Well, I mean, it's getting better, and if you have the right prompts, it typically works out the gate. Though it takes a lot of skill to get there, so you will often find yourself in this situation where the code is inefficient or incorrect. So there are steps that you can take to remedy that. It's important to call out when you're using Claude Code to write your code that you believe ultimately that you're responsible for the code. And that's what when you're communicating with this AI, with any of the AIs that are generating code for you, you are responsible for the code that's generated by the AI. Ultimately, the responsibility of that code that's going into the PR, the pull requests, the changes that you're making to the code base it's with your name. Even though the AI wrote it for you, you're responsible for it. So you have to read the code, ensure it's well tested, have follow-up prompts, things like that. So the best you can do when you're doing generative coding is to ensure that the quality is there. Therefore, especially in any professional context, I manually review all AI written code and test cases. That makes sense. You got to read the code that it prints. Also, someone needs to be familiar with the code base because you need to jump back and make changes to it. Yeah, the AI can do it for you, and most of the time it can, but you can do a lot better working with the AI if you know the code base well. So Chris will add tests for anything that he thinks is missing or needs improvement. That's actually a cool idea. That's actually a really cool idea. So if there's a problem with the code base or you think there's a feature missing, you can just write the code and then ask the AI to fill in the features for you, either manually or by asking the LLM to write the cases. So you don't even have to write the cases. You can just say, hey Claude, write this specific test case for me, run it, see that it fails, and then make it pass by updating the code. It's actually a really cool TDD. At the end of the day, manual review is necessary to verify the behavior is implemented correctly and tested properly. Yeah, I say yes. So here's the end of it. This is the last segment of the video, and we will be looking at this personal global agent guide in the Claude MD file.